Now, come on, how cute is this? Let's talk about Tillandsia. What's up, fellow plant enthusiasts? My name is Dylan and this is Bane's Botanicals. Today we're going to be talking about Tillandsia. Now, everybody's heard of air plants. Maybe you didn't know they were Tillandsia, but air plants are pretty cool. They can be a little tricky. The care for air plants is different than any other plant, so be prepared for that. But there are a couple of different varieties of Tillandsia. This one is the one that's more grass-like. It's kind of grown all wonky and crazy like hair, so I thought this little fish was just, he looks kind of derpy, like he's just kind of silly, so, you know, I thought I'd put the silly hair in him. Actually, that was Wesley's idea, so anyway. Tillandsia, there's also another one that looks more like kind of a round, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe the thing. Not cabbage, but it's like round and curly into a ball. It's two different species. I don't remember the species off the top of my head, but generally the round one is white, and it tends to be more expensive than kind of the grass type ones. So it's just kind of whatever you want to choose. But yeah, Tillandsia, let's go and do this. Here is the taxonomy information for Tillandsia, and we are in the family Bromeliaceae. Now, that is going to be the family of bromeliads, which I did not cover yet on this plant care list. Bromeliads are, for one thing, the term bromeliad is a collection of different genera within that family. So because of that, I didn't really want to cover the different genera because I've just been doing one genus at a time for the plants. I haven't done like groups yet. And I recently had a live stream and kind of asked, you know, what videos people would like to see. And I got a few suggestions for other plants, but bromeliads were not one of them, if that kind of tells you anything. And we sell bromeliads at work and they don't sell, really. I mean, some people will buy them kind of as gifts because when they're flowering, they're very pretty. But bromeliads usually die off after they flower. They put off little pups, but the mother plant dies. Well, I mean, most people who are just generally buying a plant not to collect it don't really want to hassle with that kind of thing. So they usually just end up throwing them away, which is fine. Anyway, this is technically a bromeliad, so this is the only one we're going to cover. But Tillandsia, like I said, it has very different care, which we are going to get into. As far as light goes, this does need kind of bright indirect light. You don't really want to stick it in the sun. They're pretty fragile. They tend to grow in the crooks of trees. And they're called air plants because they don't develop roots. They kind of attach themselves to trees, and they get nutrients from kind of the rainwater and everything that flows from the, like, off of the tree onto the plant itself. They can also get nutrients via the air, floating, but generally you don't have to do anything as far as soil goes. Well, you don't really ever have to do that. When it comes to watering, this is usually where people fail with Tillandsia. They need to be misted probably weekly. Depending on the size, depending on where you have it in your home, they need to be misted weekly because that's how they rehydrate, and that's also how they absorb their nutrients. But probably once a month, they appreciate being soaked. Now this one's going to be kind of difficult for me to soak because of the shape. I didn't really think that through all the way. They like to be soaked. Let's say that this wasn't insane. I would get like a cup of water and I would just dunk this thing in, except for the very top. And there's a reason for that. I mean, just go ahead and dunk all the leaves and things in and leave it for maybe, people will tell you varying amounts of times. I would usually do mine for about 10 minutes, just so that it wasn't in there too long. I've heard as high as 30, but just kind of use your own discretion, cross-reference me with other videos, but I always did 10. And then you take it out and you make sure that you do not flip it upside down or right side up yet. Do not flip it right side up. You need to let it dry, let it drip out, let it do its thing to dry out a little bit before you do that. The reason for that is water will drip down into the bottom here, into these crevices, and it will rot the plant every time. So you don't really want that to happen, which is why you don't submerge the whole plant and why you don't want to turn it back, upright too soon. And that's exactly how my other one died. I thought I had let it set out long enough, but some of the water got down in there and it took about a week and it was mush. Like it was mush down in there. So now Tillandsias aren't going to be that long lived anyway. This is not a plant that you're going to have for 30 years like a ficus or a Christmas cactus, but they're still fun plants that can last you a couple of years at least, I would think, as long as you care for them. But just like other bromeliads, they will flower, and I believe they decline. I've never had one get that far, but if they follow the same pattern as other bromeliads, they'll probably flower. It's really cool. I've seen pictures of them. And then they'll start to kind of go away. And that's just what some plants do. Some plants live to flower and then they die. They've served their purpose, just like a lot of insects. Think about cicadas. Cicadas spend their whole life underground. They show up for one summer, they breed, and then they die. That's it. That's the life. But yeah, I am not a Tillandsia expert. I never really got into bromeliads a lot. I've had a few air plants, like I said, Tillandsia, but I'm not, I may be missing some specific tips. So if anybody has other things that have helped them along the way, please pass them along, not only for myself, but for our friends in the community, which is why I rely so much on you guys for some things, because there are just some plants that just don't interest me a lot, and Tillandsia is kind of one of them. I think they're cool, and I just think that the type of care that you have to provide them is unique in the plant kingdom. So I don't know, that's pretty neat. But what else did well, it doesn't take a pot. You can just get a cool little pot to stick it in. And it doesn't take soil, so we don't need to worry about that. And we discussed the humidity aspect. They do need to be misted. And if they have other ambient humidity, that's not a bad thing. If they have kind of a humidifier not too far off, especially during the winter time, that does them some good. So I think that's all I have about Tillandsia. Not a whole lot to say about them. They're kind of, this thing is so silly. They're kind of novelty plants, if I'm just going to be honest. They're just kind of novelty plants, but under the right care, they just last longer than other novelty plants like Venus flytraps and things like that people usually only buy just for kind of the idea of owning them, but they don't actually know how to care for them. So yeah, let me know if you guys have other cool species of Tillandsia. I know there are more than just those two, but those two are the most common that I've seen. And I look forward to reading what you guys have to say. Thank you so much for contributing. Thank you so much for giving me something to read and look forward to. I feel like I've gotten pretty close to some of you guys, and that means a lot to me. So thank you. Until the next video, I will see you guys very soon. Thank you.